Russia's Vladimir Putin at 70, key moments that made him. As Vladimir Putin nears his 70th birthday on Friday, how did he become the isolated autocrat who launched his disastrous invasion of Ukraine? 7 pivotal moments in his life helped shape his thinking and explain his growing estrangement with the West. Taking up judo, 1964. Born in a Leningrad still scarred by its 872-day siege in World War II, young Vladimir was a surly and combative boy at school. His best friend recalled that he could get into a fight with anyone because he had no fear. Nonetheless, a slight but scrappy young boy in a city overrun with street gangs needed an edge, and at the age of 12 he took up first sambo, a Russian martial art, and then judo. He was determined and disciplined, and by the time he was 18 had a judo black belt and third place in the national junior competition. Of course, this has since been used as part of his carefully curated macho persona, but it also confirmed his early belief that in a dangerous world, you need to be confident but also realize that, in his own words, when a fight is inevitable, you must hit first, and hit so hard that your opponent will not rise to his feet. Asking the KGB for a job, 1968. On the whole, people avoided going to 4 Lidiny Prospect, the KGB political police HQ in Leningrad. So many had passed through its interrogation cells to the Gulag labor camps in the Stalin era that the bitter joke was that the so-called Bolshoi Dom, the big house, was the tallest building in Leningrad, because one could see Siberia from its basement. Nonetheless, when he was 16, Putin entered its red-carpeted reception and asked the rather bemused officer behind the desk how he could join. He was told that he needed to have completed military service or a degree, and so he even asked which degree was best. Law, he was told, and from that point, Putin was determined to graduate in law, after which he was duly recruited. To Putin, the street-smart bruiser, the KGB was the biggest gang in town, offering security and advancement even to someone with no party connections, but it also represented a chance to be a mover and shaker. As he himself said about the spy films he watched as a teenager, one spy could decide the fate of thousands of people, surrounded by a mob. 1989, for all his hopes, Putin's KGB career never really took off. He was a solid worker, but no high flyer. Nonetheless, he had applied himself to learning German, and this got him an appointment to the KGB's liaison offices in Dresden in 1985. There he settled into a comfortable expat life, but in November 1989, the East German regime began to collapse, with shocking speed. On December 5, a mob surrounded the Dresden KGB building. Putin desperately rang the nearest Red Army garrison to request protection. And they helplessly replied, "We cannot do anything without orders from Moscow." And Moscow is silent. Putin learned to fear the sudden collapse of central power and determined never to repeat what